When I was doing the 10-minute writing exercise today, I started writing about my love for my children and my sons, and I was writing many, many different things. And then this one moment popped up, which was one of the kind of sweet, unexpected moments just before I left them a couple of weeks ago, where we were driving home. We were kind of like an hour-long drive home from a trip. And I don't know how we got to it. I think they were still in the phase. My kids go through phases. All kids go through phases. I'm not sure if boys go through phases just at a warp speed faster than many other children. But my kids have a new thing like every 4 weeks or so. Especially Georgios is like every couple of weeks he has a new obsession. Right now it's like being a detective. Like it's just detective. Everything needs to be detective. That's his thing. He literally, because he's so obsessed about this, he literally to Christmas, one of the gifts that he got is like a fake pipe and a old hat that like a Sherlock Holmes would wear.
That's awesome.
He has amassed in the last 3 months, he has amassed 64 what's that called?
Magnifying glasses?
Yeah, magnifying glasses. 64.
Jesus.
They're kind of shitty, cheap, small, and this, that, but he's crazy about it. Anyways, so we're driving back and they were still in their expensive car phase where they were like super impressed about when they would see a Ferrari or Porsche or Lamborghini or something. They get super excited about it. And so some car passed us by and they got really excited about it. And then I have these, only rarely, people will not believe me. You've spent 2 weeks with me, my children, living at my home with your family. You might attest to this. I don't have many moments of preaching success wisdom to my children, almost none, where I like tell them how to succeed in life or something. But I was called to that. I felt called to say something about it. So they're like, oh, this car, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And I'm like, well, dudes, one day you could afford one, right? And they're like, really? I'm like, of course. You just need to make the right moves. You have to be very successful. You have to do something a lot of people want so that you amass wealth to be able to afford these cars. But you guys are smart. You're strong. If you work hard and smart, you could get there. And then my oldest is like, did you do it? Like, did you get there? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, why don't you have a car like that? I'm like, I could buy a car like this, but it wouldn't make me as happy as it makes you guys thinking about it. So I'm not buying it because it's too much money for me to have something that doesn't make me happy. But I spend money on other things that make me happy. Like you guys, you're very expensive. Each one of you is like a Ferrari in terms of the expenses that you accrue. And then, I'm like, listen, I started from very little, your grandmother didn't have much. We didn't have much. But if you do the right things, you can get there. And then, Georgia's like, what are the right things? I'm like, all right, this is my moment. The 5 steps to financial wealth and success for first graders, right? Here we go. All right. I didn't know I was waiting for this moment, but apparently this is it. I'm giving you the speech. And I honestly didn't know I started and it just went somewhere, right? So I'm like, all right, so first, I'm like, all right, let me ask you guys, what do you think you have to do if you want to become rich and wealthy? Give me something. What do you have to do? And one of my boys is like, work hard. I'm like, bingo. It's very good. You have to work hard, right? If you can't be lazy, if you want to accomplish a lot, if you want to build things lots of people want, you cannot be lazy. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to be productive. Absolutely. But lots of people work really hard and they're not rich, right? People that work really, really hard, your grandmother, my mother, worked hard her whole life, incredibly hard. She's not rich. So what else do you got to do? Does anybody have any idea? And then my other son is like, work smart. I'm like, bingo, there you go. That's a deadly combination. Hard and smart. Boom, now you're dangerous, right? Now we're going places, but it's not enough. You have to do more. And my kids at that point, deeply disappointed, right? They're both like, what? Really? Even more? Okay. Just think about it. Just give me a third one. What else could it be? They didn't know. They're like, we're hard and smart. What else? Why do you have to do more? Like, this doesn't make any sense. Well, guys, you have to be consistent, right? You can't just work hard and work smart some of the time and be lazy and dumb most of the time. You have to do it day in, day out. If you feel like it or not, you always have to do it. And they're like, okay, that kind of makes sense. All right, we get that. I'm like, what else? Any other guesses? Like, no. And at this point, I was certain I've lost the audience, right? This is the moment the audience is checking out. It was fun until now, but now it's not fun anymore.
Mhm.
But I was too deep into this. And I'm like, I can't jump off the bandwagon here. I'm committed. Like, this train is going to end to its final destination and whatever. Maybe something will sink into their skulls for later in life and maybe not. I don't know, but I can't stop right now. And they're already, I can see them looking out the windows. They're already now like one of them is playing with a toy in his hand. Like, they're not fully with me anymore, right? I'm not having eye contact anymore, nothing. I'm like, anyways, I'm like, listen, work hard, work smart, work consistently, or be a consistent person. You have to have courage. You have to be courageous because you're going to have to do things that you're afraid of. You're going to have to take risks. And that's a big thing. Most people, they could accomplish huge things, but because they're afraid, they never attempt what they could really do. If you have the courage to do things you're afraid of, chances are you're going to become very successful. It's important. It's hard to be very successful for long without some courage. You have to be courageous, just like the heroes are. You have to have courage. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not getting big responses anymore, right? The work hard, work smart, that got strong engagement from the crowd. But since then, like, nothing. And then I'm like, all right, one final thing. And I don't even know, what did I say? What was the final thing that I said? Work hard, work smart, work consistently, be courageous. One more fucking thing, right? Whatever it was. It could be another 1,000 things I could make up.
Right.
You should do, you have to have fun. You have to love what you do. Like, whatever. You have to be honest. And, I know what it was. Instinctively, probably the thing that they least were interested in. Patience, right? I was like, you gotta be patient because I'm like, many, many times, and trust me, your father has experienced this painfully himself. You work really hard, maybe somewhat smart, maybe somewhat consistent, with all your courage and your might, and just success is waiting a little further away from you, and you just have to be patient and keep going. If you give up too early, many people have never reached their riches or their full potential because they gave up too early. You have to be patient. You have to be in it for the long haul. And I say those last words, Ramin, and not even an acknowledgement of those words. And I'm like, all right, this is, I don't know when I started to be talking to myself, but it's the last couple of minutes. Like, it's almost when you talk to somebody on the phone and then you realize they're not on the line anymore, right? You lost the connection and you wonder, how long have I been talking to myself? That was kind of the vibe that I was getting. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. That's it, guys. This is how Dad made it. And what I expected, I swear to God, at that point, because my kids give me shit, right? And we're very playful and fun that way. And they oftentimes are like, Dad, boring or whatever. Like, so I expected like a lame or something, some kind of like, give me shit for this. So I'm like, yeah, that was it. Those are the 5 things Dad did to go from nothing to something. And then my oldest goes, Dad, I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're my hero. I have many heroes, but you are my biggest hero. You did all 5 things right, all 5 of them. I mean, I just want to be like you one day. And I had to hold on to to the steering wheel, not to fall out of the car, because I didn't expect that at all. It's like, Dad, you're my hero. You did all 5 things, 5 things, and you did all of them right. You're insane, Dad. You're just the best, I mean, I just want to be like you one day. I'm like, okay, all right. As I'm driving, and then my youngest never ceases to amaze me in different ways, because my youngest in that very moment goes, Dad, I'm like, yeah. Did you know that mom saved a kid's life last week in school? I'm like, no. It's like, yeah, that mommy works at school. I'm like, yeah, honey, I know that. Yeah, and there was a kid that fell down and hit himself. He was bleeding, and mom came and helped him. She saved his life. And I'm like, dude, your mom is amazing, huh? He's like, yeah, mom is amazing. I'm like, mom is a hero, right? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, all right, I get it. My youngest is kind of the equality police, and it's not just about his mother, about any. He just he can't. He's in physical pain if you give somebody something and then everybody else hasn't got the exact same amount. Like, he has this incredible sense for fairness. So he was like, wait a second, dude. You can't say dad is the greatest. Mom is also the greatest. He's like, Dad, did you know mom saved the kid's life? Fuck your 5 rules to success. She saved somebody's life. I was like, okay, your mom is amazing. I get it. But that was a moment I will cherish. It was a shocking moment of love. Like, my heart was completely unprotected for that move. And it hit very hard, and I had to think of it today. But it was so funny. I thought nobody gave a fuck anymore about this shitty story. These 5 rules for success I was like preaching. And then he's like, dude, you're the fucking best. All 5 things? 5? You're amazing. I'm like, oh shit. Kids, sometimes they're not half bad,